Welcome back to Barrel Brothers. Today we're continuing on the bikes actually. It's not something that we're really known for, but notably we're going to be working on this one. Just looking at that, it looks a bit saggy ass, doesn't it? We've got the new shock in and they're known for being quite soft, but it basically, I sit on it, and I'm not that big, I'm like 80 kilos, so it's not that big a thing, but it was bottoming out. So it's but not 80 kilos. You imagine putting anybody bigger? I suppose they were designed for lighter kids, but even back in the day, they were known for having fairly soft suspension. All right, so the front can be sorted out because if you look here, that's right, we can pump it up with a bit of air. The problem is on the rear, and they had two shocks. They had this one, which was air adjustable, and the one that's on it, which isn't. Okay, what am I going to do? So early on the piece, before I sort of did a lot of research into these things, I bought this, not knowing, I thought it would look like something out of that, fairly similar, because I looked at it in the bike, and bought it off the internet. And it was the wrong one, but it's sort of looking, ow, my fingers, like it might be the one for the job. As you can see, it's got a much heavier spring and it's longer. Now I figure if we can get it to fit Mr. Saggy Ass over there, it should be a winner. Should take my bulk, and it should set it up a little bit higher so it actually looks like a motocrosser, not some, like it's got worms or something. Just actually had a close look at this shock, and that's the non-reconditioned button. So it's 8-position adjustable there, and then I noticed this. So that's for compression, so that one there must be for rebound. So it's 20-position adjustable for compression and 8-position adjustable for rebound. Had a bit of a look into this. I think it might be off a one of those trikes, the 250R trikes, which means it's probably fairly new, because people that buy trikes generally crash and die in the first couple of weeks, because that's the nature of trikes. But yeah, it seems to be pretty good. Let's see if we can make it fit. Okay, so those of you that watched the last bike video would know that I had a bit of trouble putting this one in here. It's just tricky to get it in with the link and everything. So putting this big fella in, which is quite a bit bulkier, maybe a bit of a drama. So, but look, we're going to give it a go. See if we can get it in there, because I think that's really going to do the job a lot better. Only problem is I put all the tools away last night. Get them all out again. Success! You can see where the frame's been welded up around the top shock mount. It's also been re-welded here. Obviously had some sort of a bracket here at some stage that is now missing. It's broken off. That's been welded back on. This has been welded up here as well. So she's done a bit of work, the old CR. But look at the room we now have to play around with our shock. Much better than it was. Alright, let's start getting that out then. I have stumbled upon the secret to getting these shocks out. Yeah, you get the airbox out of the way. So, what you can do then is flip the canister around, poke it back through, do the top and bottom ones, and a bit easier than last time, eh? Alright, so we just undo this and then we'll start trying to sort it out onto this guy here. So far so good. I think we're actually going to have to lift the bike up to get that into there. That's how far further it's got to go down. Get everything tightened up in the meantime. So should we just get this, like force it in there, or should we just back our spring off a bit and have it a little bit under compression to put it in? I think that might be the better idea because we're putting a bigger shock on it. Turns out that the hole in the top of this one isn't 10 mil like the old one, it's 12. Now, hunting around the place, I've found a 12 mil bolt that's long enough, but I don't have any washers and I don't have any nuts. That is a high tensile bolt. Interesting thing is, hole in the frame is 12 mil also. So I don't know actually what's going on. That's the right size for the bottom with a couple of washers. Maybe that shock that was in it wasn't the right one, but I've got two 1983 CR80 shocks and they both look exactly the same. This is out of something different. It's got the adjustment and everything. And we're going to have to run this sort of at an angle here. I need to slope it back so it misses the kickstarter, but we're sort of at an impasse. We need, this is a little bit long too. It's about 75 millimeters long and we need about a 70, where's this? 65 or a 70 mil and some washers. We may have to go over to Bunnings and get them. Okie dokie, back from Bunnings. Got a nylock nut and a bunch of washers. They didn't have the right size bolt, so we'll just have to go with this one. It's a little bit long, but I don't want to cut it off because then it will rust. We've got some washers as well. It comes up against the bush in the middle, but not up against the shock itself, so it'll be able to swivel. Nut certainly doesn't look like it's it's bigger than a 14. All the other nuts were 14. 19. So we're not mucking around here. Probably going to cost 0.1 of a second per lap, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I just bent the tab in a little bit, so I think it needs another washer. So that tab's bent in a little bit, so we're going to have to tweak it back out a bit before we put the spot back in. The washers are a thick washer, and they didn't have any thin ones, so it's like one washer and there's 3 washers, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, is right. But the tab itself here has been bent in from the other shock. So it's actually twisting the bolt slightly outwards, so it's not quite lining up with the hole. We should be able to twist it around and get it to where we want it. And she's in, folks. Better bloody work after all of this. So those tabs are now parallel, whereas before they were bent, or one side was bent in. Now they're parallel. So this isn't the right shock for this bike, but it certainly looks like it's going to fit. Well, the interesting thing is going to be whether our airbox is built with a little curvy bit in it, which is there. It's going to go around that much bigger diameter shock and onto the carby. This isn't going to be so easy getting the airbox back in. Oh, we took the airbox out with everything in place, didn't we? Yeah. So screw you, it's going in, man. It was missing so much stuff, this bike, when I got it. It's slowly getting better and better. I think it's the fastest one I've got. The YZ's pretty quick too. Very quick. Came out easy enough. Ah, there we go. Just need to give it lay foldo to go around the frame. So this is going to be the make or break. Will it go in there? Will it sit in there? They didn't really make these little motocrossers. They didn't make them to last. Ultra miss. It misses. You beauty. Okay, so I figured out why that shock was a little bit tricky to get in. That spring is up against here now. So this actually has to be wound down under here, under that. So I'll get that up. You see where that's contacting? So I actually have to take it back out again. Or I wonder if I could undo this side here and that would move back and give me enough room. It's like a catch-22. I need the spring slacked off so I can get the shock in there, but I can't put the shock in there with the spring slacked off. These and other burning questions will be answered in the next 10 minutes or so. Insert sometime later. It was one of the more difficult things I've ever had to do. It needed spring compressors, but you can't get them in there. So it involved ratchet straps and screwdrivers and an awful lot of swearing, I have to say. But there it is. It's in there now. Everything's hooked up as it's supposed to be. Okay, we'll start putting it all back together again. Just got to find all the spanners that I've thrown across the room in anger. Not anger, frustration. Frustration is the word. Lucky it doesn't have a stand because I don't think it'll reach the ground anymore. Mighty car mods, make a seat about that high. You know your little crossover seat thing? Make one about that high because it's the perfect height for working on brakes and this sort of crap. See, and this is the problem with them. Because they're so old, things have broken and things have been changed and people have had to fix them with what they had, even though Soichiro Honda wanted all of the parts for all of his vehicles available forever, which is a very noble thing to do. Problem being that he died and was no longer in charge of the company. Okay, moment of truth. Found a little posse for here. See what I mean? It sort of looks like it needs something here, but we can get to the damper and adjust that as long as we don't, you don't want to do it on the fly because it's going to be burning your hands on the exhaust. This is taking quite a bit longer than what I thought. And we're not even sure that it's going to work yet, so we've got to take it off the stand and needs a good clean, I'll tell you. That's quite a bit more impressive. It certainly looks more purposeful. It looks like I'm a motocrosser, doesn't it? That's how it should look. Harden it up a little bit on the compression. It's not like I'm going to be doing jumps at my age, but that's quite impressive. Certainly looks the part. You actually don't have to lift it anymore. We'll pump up the front a little bit and take for a bit of a ride, I think. Okay, not doing any startup beforehand. I've just wheeled it out here, put some petrol in it. As we drain all the petrol out because that tap leaks. And if we go to on, how do we do it yesterday? Full throttle. Drop it a choke, first click. Of course not. All right, wide open. Ooh, nearly. Let's have a little bit of choke. Those forks are still way too soft. Right, might try putting a bit of air in those, but that's much better. What it was doing when you accelerate it was just sinking, and because the forks are so soft, so I was doing this on the brakes. Forks are still too soft. We'll try putting a little bit of air in them and airing them up. But yeah, complete success. Nothing's hitting anything. Which is just a hassle to put in there, but I'm happy. The idea was to put that on, give it a little ride, get the XR4s going, but no, not XR4 action, XR75, wheels on the brain. Honda XR75, but that's on another day. I'll get them started up. Sorry. Thanks for watching.